Hey, thanks for coming out. Kind of a cold, rainy Thursday night, and it's what better way to celebrate one of those nights for the town hall state of the school meeting at ICS. So thanks for coming out once again. You know, Chris and I have been talking about this for a few months, and we've off and on said wouldn't this be kind of a cool annual tradition to start? And I hope in fact that is true. But my partner in crime, Chris Mannix, our board chair, and I are really happy to host you tonight and talk a little bit about what we've been doing this year. Probably talk a lot about what we are hoping to be doing over the course of the next year in terms of our building project. With that said, I think Chris is going to be the star of the show because he's got most of that information for you tonight. And at the end, if we have some time to engage informally with questions and answers, you know, either just one-on-one in here or out in the atrium, we're very hopeful to do that too. So I'm going to start with just about kind of a 15-minute reflection on my start to the school year and, you know, the beginning of my tenure at ICS. And we'll frame things that way, then I'll hand it over to Chris for probably about a half hour of building project stuff, and we've got floor plans and all sorts of exciting things to show you guys. And then we'll wrap up with some closing comments from me. So, lots happened over 6 months. I saw a picture of myself on the first day of school the other day, and it's not pretty, guys. Used to look a lot better. But I have to say that I really love my job, and I already love the school. And I haven't really had this much fun in my career in 25 years. I started in education 25 years ago. And it's a different kind of fun. You know, back then, I was, of course, interacting with students a lot more often. You know, and now it's a lot more about meeting new people, learning those people's perspectives, understanding this new place, putting pieces together, you know, thinking about the future, and just really reveling in that. So there are a lot of people to thank, but I'll just generally say that I so appreciate the time and consideration that so many of you and also people within the internal school community have afforded to me and my family over the 6 months. And while so many have been incredible to me, I want to give a very special shout out to my favorite group in the school, which happens to be the kindergartners. And if you ever want to brighten up your day and you're having kind of a cold, rainy day like it is tonight, stop by the kindergarten and they'll give you high fives and just make you feel like a different person. But those are my peaks, and I'm gonna wait it out for 12 years to see those guys graduate. So those of you who remember the Creek Cocktails event at the start of the year, that event that we had on the lawn over there, overlooking the athletics fields. You'll remember some introductory comments that I made, the stuff that I really care about. And I mentioned that being part of a community that identifies itself as a family and what that means to a school were really important to me. Best practices in teaching and learning, something that I've cared about for a long time, and being present but also being future focused in how we approach that work, and creating an equitable and inclusive school environment. And I think part of why I love the school so much is those things mean a lot to me, but those values are so inherent in the ICS mission. And for that reason, it's felt like a good fit from the beginning. So my first real task this fall was kind of related to this concept of community and family. And I endeavored to, with the help of Shannon Berry, who helps me with my schedule all 110 employees of the school for one-on-one meetings. And as I said, it was my first real stab at trying to understand the family community within our faculty and staff ranks. So it took a couple months to get through the meetings. They're about 20 to 30 minutes each. My conclusions were that there's not a faculty and staff anywhere that I've encountered in my career that cares more about the students and each other and about doing a good job than this faculty and staff. And I knew right away, really, that this group cared a lot when I would so often ask them individually, how are you doing this year? And they would sort of flip it immediately and say, no, how are you doing, Booth? And I told the faculty and staff the story. I also told them I didn't keep count of who actually said that, but it was a theme, and it happened a lot, and it really made me feel fortunate that I was in a community of such considerate people, and again, made me feel right at home right away. I also learned from those conversations that we need to support them more, and I pretty quickly identified that we need to create systems from leadership that provides mission critical feedback consistently so they can do their jobs really well. And attached to that, provide a professional development program that can not only sustain what we do now, but push us into the future. And those will be real priorities for me as I do my work with the faculty and staff this year and into the future. So those conversations this fall really had everything to do with how we're going to approach our work in the teaching and learning area. So one simple thing we did at the start of the year was just take a look at our internal testing assessments that we administer to lower school students and our middle grade students. And we decided to contract with some new assessment vendors just so we could track progress in a better way than we had been doing previously. And the tests we chose were easier to administer and just more appropriate for our kids. So that was a very quick decision we made right away. In our planning for next year, we're seeking to hire some additional classroom teachers at the lower school. Specifically, we're going to add a Spanish instructor to help out the teaching load of Barb Vasquez, who has a very intense number of students to teach. We will be adding a new third grade teacher, which is going to allow us to split our large second grade. Right now we have a second grade of 24 students with other students who are interested in joining the grade. We're doing that because all the studies and all the data that any educator and probably a lot of you have ever looked at indicate that when you have classroom sizes larger than 20, it starts to become a little more difficult to manage and give the best experience. So we're going to commit to having this larger grade, split them to 2 classrooms and enhance their classroom experience for the next couple of years. When those students merge into our 5th grade, the program changes at that point a little bit, so they'll just be able to be absorbed into our regular sort of structure that we already have in place. So we're very excited about that. There are no plans to increase class sizes across the elementary grades. We're going to cap at 20 for the rest of the elementary grades. Our admission folks report kind of happily and in a way sort of uncomfortably that they're very likely to be waitlist for some of our elementary grades this year, which is a double-edged sword when you can't sometimes welcome students you'd like to into the community, but also good just for the demand that we have on our school. So one last thing we'll do is add a full-time technologist at the lower school who will be there not only to support our faculty and all their technological needs, but will also be present in classrooms to make sure that we're integrating technology appropriately in each of the lower school classrooms. At the upper school, we're planning on adding a teaching faculty in English, Spanish, and math. One of the new math teachers we hire, it possibly could come from our internal ranks, will also serve as the curricular lead for the K-12 math program, something I feel will be a huge addition to our curriculum. Just ensuring consistency and alignment grade to grade, with a particular emphasis on understanding the major entry points into the pre-K through 12 school environment, and making sure that the students we onboard at certain grade levels are going to be able to move smoothly into what the students who have already been here have been doing. So that'll be a great add. Through all this at the upper school, we're hoping to decrease class size a little bit. It won't be probably that noticeable, but very noticeable will be the teaching loads of upper school teachers will go down a little bit. We have a couple teachers that are teaching 6 classes right now, which is intense. And we, again, need to treat our teachers better in that regard and make sure they have appropriate teaching loads. We've restructured the upper school administrative team with an eye towards enhancing student life and student experience. We've hired a new associate head of school starting this summer, who will help to both oversee some curricular initiatives and also plan for future curricular initiatives like a summer program on our upper school campus, better promotion of our blended learning platform called Blink, and very importantly, and something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about this year, a curricular review of our 7th, 8th grade program. Just to make sure that the curriculum and the program are developmentally appropriate for what is a very developmentally sensitive time of a student's academic career. We've introduced an integrated studies program at the upper school and plan to have signature integrated, you could also call them interdisciplinary, courses at each grade level, 9 through 12, by the year 2022. Next year, we plan to begin that with a double block course for freshmen that will earn them both science and history credits. Very excitingly, 28 rising 9th graders have expressed interest in being part of that program. And we very much expect that once we enroll a new round of 9th graders in the coming weeks, that there'll be even more who would like to have that opportunity to be in that class. So that's a really good start for this initiative. And over the next year, we hope to design a global studies course that would be offered very likely in the 10th grade, and also an advanced research seminar that we'd offer to seniors that would incorporate some kind of internship in the local community and have that be a really formative experience for our oldest students. Okay, I'm going to pivot here to the third category I